Looking back now, I think it already started when I was born. I was born 10 weeks early, which totally aligns with my personality because I love to rush things. I love to like get things done. So my little tiny ass thought like, you know what, let's
Time
get
to
this
get
over
out.
with.
Let's do it now. I don't have time for this.
I remember going to elementary school and everybody was like, I'm gonna become a policeman. I'm gonna be a fireman. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm like, I want to be an actress. It was a Persian play, and I remember opening night, the chaos that unfolded in front of, like, before we entered the theater in the waiting room, basically, waiting area. And kids were crying. They were like arguing with each other. They were playing, running around. It was just a crazy mess. And once we entered the theater, and the play started, I remembered I turned around on my seat. I was in the front row, the very first row. And then I just saw all of the kids just staring at that stage in awe. And the whole chaos was gone. There was just the fascination of what is happening here. I thought, wow, if I can make problems disappear for a moment and just make them happy, I would love to do that. I realized filmmaking, creating a film, is creating life. Through that point of view and having given birth, created literally life, a new life, I thought, okay, I want to say goodbye to everything, but at the same time I can't, because I would feel like that's not what I want to show to my son. I want to be that badass of a mother. It's also weird, but every time where I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm done. I'm sick of like this, that, whatever. And all of a sudden the universe is like, knock, knock. Hello. No, 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 no. We have plans for you. We have something that is like waiting for you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that one thing, and then I will stop. And so it's always it always comes back to me like a boomerang. It's weird.
Roxana, thank you so
Thank you.
much for being here. I want to introduce you because you're a powerhouse.
Thank
You're
you.
an amazing actress, writer, producer, director, voiceover artist, and a mom.
Yes. My newest edition.
That's the newest edition as being
Congrats.
a mommy.
Thank you. I love it. And
And you
I hate
love
it.
it? Oh,
No.
we're getting
No.
real at the beginning. Okay. So, like, immediately, I love it and I.
Hate it.
You know what? Yes, it's everything and all, right?
Yes,
It's
for
just,
sure.
it is what it is. I know.
But the parts that you love are so big that the hate is just a tiny
Well,
fraction of it, right? It makes it all good.
it makes it all good.
Yeah. I never believed my mom when she said that, but now I know it's true. It's actually true.
It's actually true. Okay, got it. I'm wondering, as I do have children, how it was for me. I don't know. I don't know. I was just so high on life and then in between so exhausted that I do not think that I had energy to even use that word.
Process.
You know what I mean? Like, just like, "Ugh." Like if anyone was like, so how is it? I'm like, I just need to sleep. I want to sleep. Do you need
What do you want to
anything?
do? Yeah, exactly. Give me a hotel room and time for myself and some sleep, and I'm happy.
And you're happy.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for taking the time. As we know, you have a lot to do. It is a precious time that you're also, investing here. And we would love to start with the way everything started for you. And you described it as storytelling is something that found you, or like you kind of didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
there in your life.
From the
And
very first second on, actually.
please do tell us. Tell us that story.
Well, looking back now, I think it already started when I was born. I was born 10 weeks early. And as which totally aligns with my personality because I love to rush things. I love to like get things done. So my little tiny ass thought like, you know what, let's
Time
get
to
this
get out.
over with. Exactly.
Let's do it now. I don't have time for this. Now.
So I had to go into the incubator, of course, and my mother and my father actually told me all the time that I was like the favorite on that station because I was always smiling, and I started entertaining the doctors and nurses because every time when they came, I was like lying in my incubator, like on the beach, you know. So I think it was already there from the very first second, but on the way, I lost a little bit of my spark. Um, because of a horrible incident that I had with the school system here and being like half Iranian was back then problematic.
May I ask you something immediately?
Yeah, of
Just let's
course.
dive into this. You're saying the school system here. I didn't
Hmm.
say where you're based, obviously, but you're based in Austria, Vienna.
Yes.
So your parents, uh, they were, or is your mom Austrian?
My mom is Austrian, my father is Iranian, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
half-half. I'm too Austrian to be Iranian and too Iranian to be Austrian. So
Mm-hmm.
as many people on this earth, or I have that problem to fit in.
Yeah.
And that already showed quite early on because my father is an actor and director, and my mom was producing, like basically doing everything else,
Mm-hmm.
PR, dramaturgy, like on theater,
Mm-hmm.
costume, makeup, like all of it, like a 10-woman job, basically. I think that's where I got it from. Um, So I had to go to kindergarten quite early on, and I was not able to speak and express myself. But my mom told me that I was always crying, and she thought like it was because I didn't want to leave her or anything like that. And later on, we figured out, oh, my aunt actually called it the sister of my father, that kindergarten was abusing me. In a sense, they were like emotionally abusing me. They were like very rough with me. So I had bruises and stuff like that. So that's where, my spirit got a little bit broken. I lost my spark. I was still a happy person. I'm always a happy person. That's my nature. But something happened with me, I didn't have that universal trust that you
Mm-hmm.
especially have as a kid. And so when my father came up to offer me like my first big role at the theater, I naturally took a step back and was like, no, I don't want to be recognized or be in the middle of everything. I just, I like observing.
Mm.
I'm happy where I'm at.
You're also very
And
young. Sorry, you're very young when you did
yeah,
this. How old are you?
when I got the
When your
role
dad,
offered,
yeah,
I was 6 at that
that's
time. I just
young.
turned 6, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a Persian play, and I remember opening night, the chaos that unfolded in front of like before we entered the theater in the waiting room, basically, waiting area. Um, and kids were crying. They were like arguing with each other. They were playing, running around. It was just a crazy mess, but like fun mess, Um, Grown-ups being overwhelmed, trying to hold everything together. And once we entered the theater and the play started, I remembered I turned around on my seat. I was in the front row. the very first row. And then I just saw all of the kids just staring at that stage in awe, and the whole chaos was gone. There was just the fascination of what is happening here. And it was kind of interesting because everybody was in their own world, but it was
Mm.
a collective experience still. Um, Back then, I wasn't really able to express it the way I can now. But that was so fascinating to me. And I thought, wow, if I can make problems disappear for a moment and just make them happy, um, I would love to do that. And so I remember after the opening night, I went straight up to my dad, like very um, focused and stubborn. I went up to him and I told him, okay, there's no discussion here. The next time you need someone in my age, I'm your girl. And I was like, okay, 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 I will keep that in mind.
It's me,
And
buddy. It's me.
We'll
yeah,
call you back.
yeah, and so the year after when I turned 7, he was like, "Hey, are you still like that determined?" And I'm like, "Yeah, 100%." And he's like, "Okay, well, I have a role here. Let's see if we get funding, and then we can talk." And we got the funding, and it was still today. It's so interesting when I hear the music of that play, um, from old recordings.
Mm.
It gives me goosebumps. It's it's
Oh.
it's kind of my like if I would have to choose music that describes me as a person, I would choose one of the like songs from that soundtrack from the theater.
Can we get the link to one of the music, like the soundtrack? I really
Yes.
I wanna hear.
I just have,
What you said.
unfortunately, bits and parts.
Yeah.
I will ask my dad if he maybe has like the whole soundtrack, but as soon as I hear it, it's just like I disappear in it or it makes me appear. It's kind of a
Mm.
play between that. Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful.
That is beautiful. I'm fascinated that you do remember that, being 6 years old, that you have this clear recollection of the events and how it made you feel, and that it defined kind of your presence early on.
Actually, I remember it because I thought I'm very weird for knowing quite early on what I want to do with my life.
Mm.
Because I remember going to elementary school and everybody was like, I'm gonna become a policeman, I'm gonna be a fireman, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna be a vet. And I'm like, I wanna be an actress. And everybody was like, come on. And I'm like, you're right, I definitely want to become a vet. Like, what the heck? Why? um, But yeah, that's why I remember it so clearly because like the reaction from people was so why?
Yeah, that's very interesting. Like, I think a lot of people dream about it early on. Like, I dreamed myself about being an actress, and I also studied with the theater. And theater is something that you just fall in love once, and it's defines the rest of your life somehow. So at 6 year old, you studied with your 7 year old. You studied at your father's. It's the theater play, right? And
Mhm.
how did you progress from there? Where did you go later on in life?
So after we played it in Vienna, we toured through whole Austria actually with that play,
Hmm.
which was very challenging at the time because I also was going to school, right? But it was manageable. And then after playing in different little kind of plays with people in my age, little productions. The former Confetti TV. Today it's called Okidoki, the kids station of the ORF1, approached me, and they asked me like, "Hey, would you like to do some little like Reportagen on different topics, or would you like to be part of that kids program, which was called Kids for Kids?" And I'm like, sure, whatever. Just let's try everything out. And that actually progressed so far that I had like my own morning show where I was teaching kids how to prepare their healthy snacks for the day, you know.
How old are you?
Very progressive.
How old are you?
Well, I think it started, if I remember correctly, it's a little bit of a blur, I have to be honest, around 10. And I continued to do so till 12 or 13, a little bit longer than usual because I looked younger than I was.
Still do.
Thank
You
you.
always look like a baby.
The Persian genes, I say. No, it's I think it a lot has to do, of course, with genes, but also with the view on life, anyhow.
Yes.
Yeah, and then school started and mathematics started, and I was like, okay, I can't miss school that much anymore because people are not really good in explaining what's going on here when you miss certain lessons. And sometimes, I think most of the time, no matter where you learn at school, teachers are like, that's the way it is, learn it. Don't ask questions, just do it. So I was focused till 16 more on school, and then I started doing art again. Although I have to say I wasn't in art school, so my emphasis was like I had an art emphasis school with up to 9 hours art in a week. Yeah.
I ask you a question out of personal curiosity as someone who newly became a mother. How did it change everything for you? Did it change everything for you? Because I don't have kids for a long, long time. I've heard I didn't want kids. I've heard it would really run against my career aspirations. And seeing you and a lot of also other gorgeous women who came to our podcast and who somehow managing it all, juggling multiple things and still doing beautiful work and projects. I don't know, it's just made me wonder what if it's something for me as well. So tell me what's your experience? How did it change your perspective on filmmaking, on projects that you want to develop, or if it changed anything? I don't know.
It completely changed. It's like a complete different universe. World would be too small for me. I mean, it's a roller coaster. Let's be honest. Having a child, being pregnant, giving birth, nursing, like all that jazz is such an emotional roller coaster. And I think during that state, at least for me, it was very turbulent because there were times, I mean, we all know that. We all know that moment. We all have it multiple times in our life where we would just want to quit, right? We just want to, like, you know what, why am I bothering myself? I'm going to every audition and then I get a no or maybe, or the budget is not there, so the whole project falls apart. Like a lot of heartbreaks, right?
Yes.
But it just, sorry, I just heard my baby. Sorry, I was like, oh gosh, no. Oh, the daddy's here. So, I definitely had a lot more moments like that where I was like, okay, you know what, let's just quit. Let's just be with your child. Like me, never in my whole life would I have guessed that I would turn into a, for lack of a better word, desperate housewife, right? Where I just want to be with my boy and I just want to take care of everything in my home and everything. I got super homey. And I told that, like, I said it to my mom and she started cracking up. And she's like, you maybe might be able to pull through for like a month or two, maybe three, but I know you. You're gonna become antsy, and then you're like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. And she was pretty spot on.
Mothers usually are.
Yes. And so because I was like, okay, you know what? I think you grow as a person when you get out of your comfort zone. And I thought, let's do something that is like completely out of your zone, where you get to meet people who have a mindset of creating. So I ended up at a program which is called the Entrepreneur Leadership Program. I got a scholarship there. You basically learn how to build up a startup there with all the different ideas that you want. And it was super revealing. And how do you say? I had so many epiphanies because I realized filmmaking, creating a film, is creating life. It's creating a story, is creating a purpose, like a startup. And the more I thought about it, the more I joined the different workshops. Of course, there are like financial aspects of it, but I thought like those are just life skills. All we do is just sharpening our skills of survival. And it doesn't matter if it's for you as a private person or for a story to make it come to life, or for a company to make that company come to life, right? And through that point of view and having given birth, created literally life, a new life, I thought, okay, I want to say goodbye to everything, but at the same time, I can't, because I would feel like that's not what I want to show to my son. You know, I want to be that badass of a mother. And as much as it looks from the outside that I have everything together, I'm going nuts frequently, hourly, every day for like 20 minutes or more, you know, like it always looks from the outside. It never is as it appears. And I think I don't have to tell you, it's a crazy ride. And so I think through becoming a mother, I became much nicer to myself.
Wow.
In the sense of like, okay, you're not feeling good today. That's fine. We'll work through it. Or you're mad right now. You don't understand why. Why is this ticking you off? That's fine. We will figure it out together. So, and of course, it works on what, like, certain days better, and on other days it doesn't work at all. But it's a process, as life is.
So that means that this course that you did, or this, study, that was now newly?
Yeah.
That was like,
Yeah, I'm finishing it on June 26th.
June 26th. And it feels like you're realizing that you're always coming back to creating and filmmaking and art
Yeah.
and acting. No matter what you try, it sounds like it just like, like it's like,
It's also weird because, and that's maybe for some people too esoteric. Um, but every time where I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm
mhm.
done. I'm sick of like this, that, whatever. And all of a sudden the universe is like, knock, knock. Hello. No, 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 no. We have plans for you. We have something that is like waiting for you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that one thing, and then I will stop. You know, and then so it's always it always comes back to me like a boomerang. It's weird.
So does it still then feel like home? Like, did it feel like home, like from the beginning on, the art world, the acting,
Yes.
creating, writing?
I think for me, it's more about, and that I don't know if that makes me an artist, you know, but for me, it's more about the creating, the
Mm.
process of creating that
Mm.
really satisfies me than the art itself.
Beautiful. You know what I would like to ask you then
Yeah.
is I know that, and we've talked about it, and we talked about it before with Valeria, this feeling, the box,
Huh.
being put in a box. I would
Right.
love to hear, like, because I know that you have your whole life, as we have now in this short time just heard, you always had to kind of fight that.
Mhm.
And particularly we know in acting and when we're in this world that people just look at us and they're like, oh, this is you. And like, for example, for me, they were like, this kind of type you are, blah, 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 whatever. And then all of a sudden they're like, they hear that I'm a mother. They're like, you're a mother? And then all
Right.
of a sudden I am the mother. And I'm like,
Ah, oh God, I hate
I'm
that.
like, what? Like before that, they were like, you don't have children. No, of course not. You don't look like that. And then when you say you have one, like you have children too, not one, two beautiful, amazing souls, then they're like, oh, you're the mother. That's what you're gonna be playing. That's what you're gonna be. And I'm like, just a minute ago, you didn't even believe that I had children, and now I can just play the mother. Like, what?
Yeah, I hate that. I think okay, I'm sorry. Like this is gonna be so brutally
Let's
honest from
go
my
there.
my
Go for it.
Go for it.
experience, but you know, I'm I'm gonna say it. Fuck it.
Yeah,
Sorry. So
say it.
I'm 36 now,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't look like it. I know that. I know I can get through as a mid-20-year-old girl. I'm also not very tall, so that's also really good. Um, but where did I want to go with that? Yeah, as soon as people know how old I am, they're like, oh, okay, well, then maybe we should rather give you like the mom that is around 40. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
guys, I'm never gonna be cast for that. If like if it's changeable for like a younger mother, that's fine. But I'm so much more than just this. I'm so much more than just Iranian or Austrian. I'm so much more than just a mom. And it's so, and I understand for film, you need to understand or you need to be able to reduce the person into a specific type in order to sell that person. I
Mm-hmm.
get that. Um, I just really have a problem when you have so much more to give and people just want to put you in that one box,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I mean, I don't have to tell you that. I know you guys are also very, very creative and do all different kind of things. So, and I have to be honest, never hear that from a woman. most of the time I get reduced by men into a specific type, which in my experience makes me question, like, is that something sexual, Is that something that men can't get over with, I mean, there were so many people when I started directing my own stuff, well-known people, directors, who came up to me and told me, like, but what do you want to do? Do you want to act or do you want to direct? And I'm like, why do you have to choose? If I do one thing, it makes me better in the other thing and the other way around. Like, we gain so much insight and become better actors, directors, or whatever, by doing stuff that is still in the same field, but is different, right?
Yeah.
And I hate that mentality of people telling me, no, you have to go for one thing, otherwise you're not going to be successful. Well, maybe I don't want to be successful because I have to narrow myself and put myself into a box, But also becoming a mother, coming back to that, I really had a lot of situations where I thought, like, okay, maybe I should go with the box, right, and make a ton of money. But then at the same time, like, I'm half Iranian. The roles that I get are sometimes not as much anymore, like 25 years ago. But then I still have people telling me, could you have like a broken accent in German? Could you bring some Farsi dialect in? And I'm like, why? Why do we still have to serve that cliche if we're already in a state of we are a metropolitan city, There are a lot of different people from all over the world, and having worked with a lot of people from all over the world and people who had to move to Vienna or Austria because in their country they were not able to live their true self. I know from experience that if the urgency is here to stay at a place and to be able to do whatever they want to do, that they can learn a language so fast, like in the span of 6 months. I had people talking to me where I never would have thought that they just came to Vienna. I thought they were already here for like 3 years or so. So I want to break those stereotypes. I want to break those cliches because we are all smart people to a certain degree. I would like to say, looking to the world right now, I know it doesn't give you that feeling. Oh God. But I think we all are born smart, and society makes us stupid if we fall for the traps.
Yeah. I have a theory about that as well. I feel like with people, sometimes it's so much easier to just, reduce you to a little box or like something that you can tick and it stays like this forever. And then because it's also the story of my life, I've never wanted to stick to one thing. I mean, I wanted to change careers, I wanted to change countries, I wanted to try different languages, speak to different people. Like it was broadening up my horizons and kind of like opening my eyes into the world. And it allowed me to look into the world from a different perspective by meeting people, seeing different, having different experiences. And sometimes what it does when you kind of like introduce yourself to people, they feel, oh, okay, well, where do I place you? And it happens like automatic. It's not even conscious or intentional. Like, okay, well, you're this, that, and it stays there. But we as people, we evolve, right? So
Yeah.
how do you then recheck in? Like, hello, I'm changed, I'm Valeria, now I'm like this, and this. And it makes you kind of uncomfortable every time to like, okay, I've also with people who probably haven't changed that much, because there are people who are more stable in their choices, and that's perfectly fine. And I probably at some point in my life I would like to try that as well, because maybe it will give me peace of mind, no, for a change. But it's so difficult and it's tricky. And then with some people, they feel even betrayed because they thought, okay, I know you, you were this. How did you
Yeah.
all of a sudden? It's like this safety it gives them,
Mm-hmm.
that you just this and they know what to expect from you. And then you're all of a sudden doing something else and they cannot wrap their head around. So I think sometimes it's, ill-intentioned when people do that to you, but sometimes it's just this basic instinct of, having the safety, like knowing who this person is and what to expect from them and how to like treat them. I don't know, that's my theory, at least. That's what helps me leave.
It's so interesting because I I had a similar experience. I think especially with family, we have an
Mm,
experience like that, right? Because we all, as you said, we evolve, we leave the nest,
yes.
we go to different countries and stuff like that.
Mm.
And I think it has to do also, I'm getting like super philosophical here. But I think it has to do with survival instincts, first of all,
Mm,
to
mm,
check out, okay, is that person dangerous or not? Like to break it down to the narrow, like to the core.
Mm,
Is that person dangerous? Do they have goodwill and stuff like that? Um, and I think with our family, it's so much easier for them to take off where we ended, um, or to start off where we um, said goodbye to each other. That it's also time is weird. Time is flying by so fast if you don't put attention to it. And so I think that's why a lot of people get kind of stuck in that loop of like, oh, it's still that person, it's still doing that, it's still that. And I think that's also why casting directors are actually always recommending to like, hey, check in
mm,
with us, send us material, send us for the actors, right? Send us material, give us updates, tell us what your life is all about right now, um, because they are aware that we are evolving, that we are changing, that we are growing, or whatever, right? So they want to weaponize that to be able to like, hey, I have the perfect person that were just a few years ago in that situation. Maybe we can cast them. Like um, those are the people who kind of broke the code, I feel like.
mm.
wow,
um,
yeah.
so yeah, I think it's hard for a lot of people, and I also every now and then step into the trap, right? To not put you in a box or not put you where you left off, you know.
Right, because you're also, and I didn't say that, you're also a casting director. That's the thing. Damn, I didn't say that. That's true. And that's why obviously I think it's beautiful. Thank you for saying that. Because I think a lot of actors, particularly now that we're talking about this, are afraid to reach out. They're afraid that, they don't want to be annoying, or they feel like I
Mm.
don't have anything to say, or I don't know what to, I don't have a new project.
Mm,
But what you're talking about more is it doesn't have to be per se exactly this new project, but it's like you as in your life. Like, what
yeah,
is
I mean, don't
for
get
you?
don't get me wrong. Don't be like every 2 weeks, like, hey, I had a life-changing experience because I went to the hairdresser. Like nobody cares about
Oh my
that.
God, if you have time to do that every second week,
Yeah, right.
Whoa.
But like if you find yourself after like the first quarter of the year, um, being a new mom, for example, and being ready to like step back on set, because you still can be on maternity leave but still work as an actor, right? That's something nobody talks about. It's hard, but it's doable, it's manageable. Um, then it's a different thing. It's like, hey, here are new headshots. If you have new headshots, I became recently a mom. I have a 4-month-old, and yeah, I'm ready to go back to work. Just wanted to let you know. Maybe you put even like a little picture with your baby. They're like,
We
but
look
yeah,
the same. It's like,
it's a copy and paste, huh?
oh my God.
But you know, we are all people. And I think that we always forget that. We always forget when we step in front of each other, no matter if it's like an audition, no matter if it's just in a normal conversation, we are all people. We all have our ups and downs. We all have good days, we have bad days. And we just want to live our life to the fullest, I think. Yeah.
May I ask you, when did you start like realizing you do not want to be put in a box, and what like made you then take the steps or gave you this? Well, sometimes I feel like it can be so draining when people do this to other people, that particularly artists, because we're very vulnerable, you know, everything is very on the surface,
Insecure too.
insecurity all the time there. So like yeah, gather the strength to just go like, okay, I'm not gonna accept the box. I'm gonna create my own projects. And then also because you're doing it all. You're doing like the financing, the writing, the, you know, as in getting as a producer, directing, you know, all of it. Like, when did that start? Don't tell me it was when you were 10, okay?
Hell no, no.
It was when
Actually,
she was 7.
She said it was 7.
and I was like, I'm never gonna do all the things my mom did. And I'm like, oh, I did exactly that. Okay, cool.
Oh.
No, because I just saw how draining it is, right? I think that's our downside of women who or people who are wearing many different hats, is that we are good in many different things, and therefore it's sometimes really hard to really just focus on one thing. And I am, in that sense, I kind of get that saying of like, you have to focus on one thing, you have to choose. But at the same time, I'm like, no, you really don't. You had to choose, we don't. And I think that thought appeared with 16 or 17 when I realized I went to an audition as a host for a show. And I knew very much from the very first beginning that I'm not gonna be the person. Like, I already got that vibe, and I knew that it's not gonna happen. And so I thought, okay, every time when I went to an audition, I always get like either the things that are super dramatic or crying or drama or screaming and stuff like that. And I was so sick of it. I was so sick of it. And it was also colliding with the revolution, the Green Revolution, during that time in Iran, 2008, 2009, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And I saw that nobody in Austria is actually talking about this. Like, what is going on there, that people are getting shot on the open street, that they're trying to voice their thoughts, and that they want to live in freedom and vote for whomever they want to, which they did, but then they whatever. Anyhow, and so I thought, okay, in order to be able to tell the stories that I want to portray, or to make people aware of situations that are not discussed in the Western world, I have to be able to independent to know how to create
Mm.
those worlds, basically. And that's how I started studying film.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a private school where I was learning how to make a movie in like 1.5 years. It was kind of crazy intense because you did every role, from producing up to like sound to editing, like everything, like in the film academy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It was the Film
Just
Academy, or
no, no, no. It was a private school
in
because I was like,
Austria?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm impatient. That's my downfall. I'm a little bit of an impatient person. I want to get things done. And I thought, okay, like 3, 4 years, God damn it. Like, it's so
Well,
long. Especially when you're like around 18, 20, right? You're like, 4 years of my life, are you crazy? So I looked for programs that teach me everything in like a year or 1.5. And so I did that, and paid for it. Or my parents paid for it. I was very lucky. And after that, I decided, okay, because my thesis was
mm-hmm.
accepted at the Hollywood International Student Film Festival.
Mm.
That was also my first time that I went to Hollywood, to LA. And it's quite interesting to me because it was actually a super experimental movie about the revolution in Iran, and it's about losing your significant other. And it's a poem. It all was
Oh.
coming up because it was a poem, and I told my teachers I want to do that, and they all told me like, but it's not a movie, it's a poem. And I'm like, but I know how to do it.
Mm.
And I was very lucky. My teacher was like, you know what? Um, do it, but I can't guarantee
Mm.
that it will be successful. And at my thesis night, I got standing ovations. With a room full of people where I only knew a handful. And um, actually, the director of the school came up to me and was like, I was wrong. You did it.
Wow.
So,
Good. Can we get a link to that one?
Mhm.
uh,
Is there
well,
any way to see it?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
But it was my very first movie. And back then, also remember, we didn't have like 4K or 2K. We had like HD
Mm-hmm.
equipment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was not as accessible as it is now.
Mm.
Um, so yes, I can of course show it to you, but I think as every filmmaker, you're not happy with your first baby.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I can give it to you. I'm not gonna release it to the public.
Got it. Okay, sorry
Yes,
guys.
that's okay. We are privileged.
We're privileged here.
Yes.
Damn,
Yeah.
I appreciate that very,
Yeah.
very much.
I want to ask you though, when you mentioned wearing all those different hats,
Mhm.
does this feel more like a superpower that you can do everything, all at once? Or is it really a burden at times when you like cannot decide, okay, should I concentrate on directing or writing or acting or like producing or, you know, that type of thing?
It's funny.
Asking for a friend.
Did you say you're asking for a friend?
Yes.
So interesting because I'm very lucky that I have a great partner in my life, my husband. He's also a creative, and because he's also writing and directing all the jazz, he always reminds me when I have one of those moments where I'm like, oh God, I can't do it all. And he's like, yes, you can. You definitely could if you want to. And I'm like, but I don't
Mm.
want to. And it's like, okay, that's a start. You don't want to. Let's move on from there. And the other thing is also I'm always like, why do I get those things all at once? Because like shooting seasons, I get like offers in like different positions, right? And I always very lucky to be able to like choose what I want to do, which changed as a mom too, later to that. Um, and he always reminds me it's a superpower, but your superpower is also a curse.
Mm.
So it's never just one side, it's always both, actually. Because it's also what I often hear from people is like, yeah, but you could just open up your own production company, like a one-woman show. And I'm like, but do I want to? I don't want to. Like, that's the magic of movies, that you work with so many people together that are different, and then you learn from each other, and you get better with each other, and stronger. And some people that don't have the technical know-how don't see that.
It's the teamwork.
Yes.
Yeah. And so to answer that question, yeah, it's definitely a superpower because, as I said before, when you know different positions in the filmmaking or even at theater, you become better at the other positions as well. Everything benefits from each other. Like if you know how to edit, and then you know when to make the breaks, the pauses, where you have to be 100%, where you can only be 20%, right? And the other way around. So, and it's also helpful because like sometimes, directors or cameramen, they get like tunnel vision on set when they have a problem and nothing works out. Then you can be like, hey, could I suggest something? And they're like,
Yes.
sure. And they're like, oh, we could actually do it from that angle, but you have the same lighting, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, that's amazing, And so everything benefits from each other.
True. You said something just now. I really want to go back to that. You said you're very lucky because you can choose the projects. And then you said that changed now that you're a mother. What changed?
Well, first of all, it's quite interesting because a lot of people are like, oh, she doesn't have time because she's a mom, right? So they sometimes don't give me the choice. They assume. And when I'm like, what the heck? I can definitely do that. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, my fault. And I'm like, okay, in the future, no matter in what situation I am, even if I'm on my dying bed, ask me. Right? That's one thing. And the other thing is also, before I had a child, money was not as important for me. Um, and so I was sometimes able to even say, okay, no, you know what? Let's not take that opportunity of that project because I don't really like it. It would pay the bill for like a couple of months, but I really like this project and I like those people and I really would like to work with them and build my relationship with them as well, because you are a family if it's for a month or months even. Of filmmaking is becoming a family, right?
Yeah.
And I think the AD is like a mediator between the families, but anyhow, but that definitely changed now because I found myself in a situation where I really would be part of one project, that where I really love the director. She's a young director. She's also a great camera woman, Vivian Bausch. If you want to know her and look her up, I love her to death. I really respect her art and the way she's looking at things and thinking. of things. But then there's also another project going on at the same time where I'm like, wow, I also like the story very much. Don't get me wrong. I don't do projects if I don't like the story, because then I think I'm not going to do a good job. You know, that's my code of ethics. I know not everyone can do that, but because I'm able to fill up so many positions, I found myself in a situation where I can be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna take a break for 3 months, like whatever. And that kind of overlaps now. And it was really hard for me to choose because I really like both of the projects. But one is better paid. And as much as I wanted to work with her, because I already worked with her I was an AD and she was a DP, and we really got along with each other. I was curious about the other project. I was curious about those new relationships. I was also very curious about the other directress, because I heard so many great things about her and I never worked with her. So at the end I was like, which pays the bill? Okay, this one,
Okay.
Well, in any case, it's good to have this sort of clarity. Of course, we all want to live in the creative world, but then the reality always is like this, and then some things take priority. But it's good that you know that you are able to choose the projects that you want to. I think like this is what it's like, this inner artistic compass that everyone, wherever possible, should have. Because to work on a project that you don't really believe in, that must be really heartbreaking for you and also for the project, because it won't bring the right sort of energy in you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I can make a good job. Don't get me wrong.
For sure.
But I think if there's a person who is really all passionate about it, then I'm gonna be like, okay, maybe I could recommend you to this person because I think like I can do it, but I think that person is the right person to do it. Yeah. And I actually think that's how I also get my jobs, because people respect that I'm not just like taking and taking and taking and taking, right? I'm not hoarding. I love to share. Sharing is caring. It makes us stronger. And oh my God, that's such a montage. Sorry. But it's
That was my mom brain. Sorry for that.
It's so true. It's so true.
Doesn't make it any less true, yes.
Yeah.
That was the cutest thing, so Roxana. Sorry. That was the cute. You were like, oh my God, that's such a mom thing. Like, oh my God. Oh, that's hilarious.
Just amazing.
Yeah, because in your head, I think you guys probably feel the same. In your head, you're not like whatever age you are right now, right? In your head, you're like 10 years older, Jesus, like younger. Maybe for some people, who knows? I
love it.
But
it depends on the day.
Exactly. There are days where you're like, am I 100?
Exactly. Like every step hurts. What is happening here? But yeah, it's the number that you have in your head, right? That you are, and not the number that you actually are. And so he's like, my boy is already like a year old, but at the same time, like, holy crap, I'm a mom now. My responsibility is, there's someone depending on me in a sense that I've never experienced before, and I would not want to miss that. As much as it is draining, especially the first few months. Yeah. As much as it is a challenge, it is so rewarding. I don't know what it is, but you look at that little person that you created with the love of your life, and you're like, it's all worth it. It doesn't matter. Like this little
Mm.
human being is so special.
Perfection.
Yeah, it is.
Mm.
And it is so kitschy, but it's so true. And you don't realize that. You can't imagine it till you actually experience it because nothing in this world touches that feeling.
Mm.
And I think that actually made me, to be honest, a much better actress for
Mhm.
sure. Because the vulnerability, the stakes are so much higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how
Thank
it
you for
is for
sharing
you.
this.
Yeah, no, totally. It's everything. It is.
It's life-changing.
It is, yeah.
And
And now we're getting Valeria's gonna be like, okay, I need a kid. She was questioning it before. She ain't anymore. No, obviously
sorry.
it's different for every single human being and every woman and man. It's a different thing, but yeah, it's something one cannot explain. I think that's just what it is. You
Yeah.
can't. There are certain things you just, or maybe with a lot of things you just can't if you haven't experienced it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Sure, reassuring to hear about this beautiful experience.
Yeah.
Can we please talk about your projects, the
Yes.
ones that you're wearing
Um,
all the hats?
okay, well, we have a project in post right now, where my father, my husband, and I were writing the script together. Mostly my father and my husband Eric. I'm gonna say Eric because he's his own person and not just my husband. So
He has a name.
and yeah, exactly. And my father Masood, right? So Masood and Eric, they were developing a script. Most of the time, the way my father works is he's telling stories from his life. He had a very, very, very interesting life so far. And I think it will continue that way because he's also a person that loves to get out of his comfort zone and learn new things. And yeah, so they developed that script and I was super pregnant and I was like, you know what? It's I think it's very important that we see more women in different stages of their life. And we wanted to shoot that thing and I was like, let's do it when I'm postpartum or while I'm pregnant, but like do it um either right before it pops out or like after. Because I knew I'm not one of those people who comes from this to like this in a second. I know that there are people like that. And I'm very happy for them, but it's also very annoying. No, I love it for them. I'm very happy for them. But when you are not used of having like 20 kilos more on you after you gave birth, you're like, why? I wanted to. Anyhow. Um, and so yeah, we decided to consciously go with that, where I'm not the beauty in front of the camera, but more like the round face and still a belly. It's like kind of thing. Because we want to represent women in all shapes and all the stages. And
Beautiful.
So beauty.
Woman. Gorgeous,
thank you.
beautiful woman. That's what it is. With our bellies, with our breasts, with our asses, with our thighs.
100%. And I have to say, I had this realization even more so. I always was an advocate of that, but like even more so on the set of What a Feeling with Katrora. She was the director. And I saw like crew people in all shapes standing in front of the camera, and I was like, they're all beautiful. We could all just shoot another movie. Damn, because they all look so great in camera.
Yeah.
And so interesting. And I was like, wow, it's just people are interesting. It's not, it doesn't have to do with beauty. Like I feel like actors often get in that mindset of like, oh, we have to be this, we have to
Oh,
be
yes.
this, I have to do this, I have to do this in order to be successful. And it's bullshit. You just have to be. And so yeah, we decided to do that. We shot that thing. Now it's in post-production. And I'm so happy I don't have to edit it, because it's horrible when you have to see yourself the whole time. Because we had a moment where there was a miscommunication going on with the original cutter, and which also happens, right? Because we are all imperfect machines talking to each other, and everybody just picks what they get. And so we thought he was done with the edit, but he didn't even start it. And we had like a deadline to reach. So I saw myself already having to edit all of that. And then my wonderful genius colleague from America, Adrienne Hopfgarden, I love her to death. She was like, Roxy, I got this. I have someone I can get you in contact with, and we're gonna do this now with you in Austria and that other person overseas. So it's an international collaboration, which is even more cool and exciting. And yeah, so that's in the about to be done. And then it will go on the festival circuit starting in September.
This is Miss Mystique, right? The project is called.
No, it's as of now, it has the working title Reasons Unknown, Shakespeare.
Okay.
It's about a father-daughter relationship. So my father and I, like real
Oh,
father and
My
daughter.
mistake. Yes.
All good.
Because Mystique is the first one that you collaborated.
Exactly,
Right,
yeah.
right.
It's about identity and who do you become when you've been so many different people and you struggle with dementia. Yeah. So it's a very interesting but also fun little piece, because we always try to put in the fun in sad and like heavy moments, you know.
May I ask you, how do you navigate, because you've done it a few times, I think, the film festival circuit?
Oh,
how do you navigate that?
Well, I have a Film Freeway account. I have a watch list created there specifically, like every time when we finish a piece that we produced or created ourselves, or people ask me to like help with the festival circuit, I go there. I have basically already a list prepared when approximately the submissions start. So I have little reminders set when to hand in what. And but there are also like great companies, you know, if you have it in the budget, like Lemonade Films. They also do festival circuits and stuff like that.
Let's go, let's talk more about it, because I'm, sure our listeners, a lot of them maybe don't have the budget, because when you're doing your first project and maybe it's your first short, or even you're as far as doing the feature, when you say you have a list, how do you create your list? Like
deep research, which is so much easier now with AI, let's be honest. Still, I want to put an emphasis on that. Please don't use it for random things. Try to be specific so you don't have to use it 10 times, because every time when you use AI, you waste a lot of water. So that's something that I always have in the back of my mind. What I do is I first do a deep research with Google. Like I ask questions. I see what I look at different like festival lists basically from different professional magazines like IndieWire or Backstage or whatever. And after having done my research, I put my list into AI, and I tell them, okay, that's what I'm focusing on. Those are the festivals I'm interested in. Can you find me more like that? Then I see, okay, what overlaps, what was not on my radar. And once it gave me the other festivals, I take a closer look at them, sorry. And yeah, that's how I proceed, basically.
Thank you.
And can I ask you what's usual the number of festivals, if it's at all matters to you, that you submit? Or it depends on the project?
It really depends on the
Okay.
project, to be honest, because I even started sometimes submitting music videos that I directed. Because there are already a lot of like festivals for specific music videos. And yeah, we're working in a field where every award, every certification that you get, every honorable mention brings you a step closer to what you really want to do. And yeah, that's why I feel like it's part of the process or responsibility to actually do so. Because otherwise nobody will see your piece, right? Nobody will be part of that story. And why create a whole world if you don't share it with others?
Yeah, this is something that a lot of people, I think, like as a beginners, overlook. That film actually the process of filmmaking doesn't actually stop with just finishing the shot, wrapping up the shoot, or like even the edit. There is so much more to it and so much longer. And the lifetime of the project it's difficult to wrap your head around it.
I mean, a story. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to dive into that a little bit deeper, because the story is always created in free, right? Like a script. You write it, that's the first time where it comes to life. Then you shoot it, that's the second time, so it changes again because you figure out, oh, that dialogue doesn't work, or oh, the scene how we built it doesn't work the way we put it to paper, or the budget is not here, or whatever. And then the third time and the last time it will be rewritten in the edit. And that's such a phenomenal and magical process if you're like able to be part of that. Because usually if you are not fixed on things, if you let go, and I think that's like a world view that you have that attaches to everything in our life. If you let it go, it will appear the way it should, and it will come back to you. If it should.
I love that. Have you ever had the situation with your projects where you went back, as in to the editing room, because you had been submitting it and you felt like, hey, why isn't receiving any, why aren't people really seeing it? Have you done that you then took it, like you were like, before you submitted to other festivals, that you would go like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna go back to the editing room, look at it, or send it to you. You have done that?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, 100%. What I like to do before even having like a internal screening, I like to take people from different fields of my life that don't necessarily always are involved with arts as well, because we all have tend to have tunnel vision or such a high opinion about something, so you have to be careful who you show it to, right? Because artists, I feel like, can also be counterproductive sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. And I think if you get people, friends and family from all different kind of fields of your life and put them together and let them watch that, you will get such an interesting and honest feedback, because people sometimes don't understand things the way it is built in your brain. Or sometimes even you have a cut where you're like, oh God, that's such a horrible cut, and nobody noticed. Nobody noticed it. And you in your head you like went over it 5 days straight and you're getting like super upset. And then you realize, oh, it works, you know. Yeah, so I definitely have done that. To go back and be like, you know what? Or even if it's just a gut feeling. It's weird sometimes. Sometimes when I work on projects, I already know, I have a feeling if they that might sound super weird, but I can already tell if it's going to be successful or not.
Beautiful.
And it's interesting. And sometimes, not sometimes, always actually, I can trust my gut. And I think that's something we can all do, you know, if we are creating something special for us. We should also trust our gut. Because there's a reason why our gut is screaming, no, take the other shot back in, you know. It's usually not the ego that is talking when it's like you should do it, you know, if that voice is not shutting up.
Yeah. You mentioned now a couple times that you're kind of looking for those signals from the universe, or, you know, gut feeling. It's also connected to, I think, intuition, or, you know, you have to be open to receive those signals, because I'm pretty sure they're out there for everyone. It's not exclusive to you or to me, or like even to creative people in particular, even though we're more tuned to this kind of stuff. Did you always have that, or did you nurture this?
To be honest,
receptiveness, how to call it?
To be honest, I will like, it's hard for me to feel myself right now. So that's part of like growing out of this hormonal roller coaster. So like I'm questioning myself a lot more than I used to. But what was the question again? I lost it now, sorry.
Do you have any specific, I don't know, like a practice or a ritual?
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember one of our guests told us that, you know, every morning they kind of like ask themselves a question, like ascending some type of question, like what should I do, or like how do I feel? Like how do you tune into this
Is it
energy?
necessary?
Okay.
I ask myself, is it necessary? And when I can answer that question with yes, why?
Do you do that on set? I'm sorry that I'm asking like this. You're doing this in the editing room, or are you doing this while you're writing? Is it like every single, like is it the whole process?
It's every time when I find myself not, when I'm stuck, basically. When I feel stuck, when I'm facing the wall, I'm like, why am I facing the wall now? Is this what I'm doing right now? Is it necessary? Is there another way around to the point that I want to reach where the wall is right now? Is there another door that I'm not seeing, right? And if I come to the conclusion, no, why?
Okay.
Because when you ask yourself why, the door appears. Does that make sense?
No, I love it. I love it. I am loving this so much. And I think this is something to use in Like, I'm gonna be using this for my life, like not just for my art, but for my life.
Yes.
Is this necessary? And you said even if it's a no, you ask why. Not just if it's a yes, but
Yeah.
also if it's a no, you will say why.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love it.
it's always I think it's very important to know why you're answering your question the way you're answering it.
I love it. There are also others that go even further, and then when you have a why, you would even ask again, and why that? Do
Yeah,
you?
I mean that's I do that more with character work, to be honest, to go really in depth and not just drain my own fountain. Not so much with editing or writing. I mean, that's not true. That's a lie. I just lied to myself. But I think you need to be careful if you find yourself stuck in that loop, which can happen so easily. Let's be honest about that. You need to find someone to be able to bounce off of that, you know? Like I can go to friends who are not in that field, to Eric, to my dad, Masoud, to whoever, even a stranger that I just met, right, you know. I'm not shy, not anymore. So if I see an opportunity or I'm fascinated by a thought that the person opposite of me said, formulated, I grab that opportunity and I'm like, okay, but why and how and what do you think about that? Am I getting too much in my head? Is that too meta? Is that too, you know? You have to be careful not to get stuck in your own brain because that's also not
Yes.
helpful.
Yep. That is true.
I like how you said I'm not shy. Well, not anymore. There is a story there.
To be honest, it's I'm so sorry if I'm gonna be so honest about it, but it's definitely the part of giving birth because you
Right.
have people looking down your hole and you're like, that's my life now at that
I
moment.
love this.
And it definitely like something changed in my brain because like, oh, we are all human and they're also human, and this guy just saw 10 vaginas today, I guess.
Big
Like,
deal.
you know, like it's the new normal, or not the new normal for them. For them, it's the old normal, but for me, it's the new normal. Where I'm like, I don't want to, and that sounds maybe so dramatic, but I don't want to be able to look back on my life when I'm at the end of my life, and we don't know when that will be, right? Hopefully, I will be able to live for a very long time, but we don't know. And I don't want to be in that situation where I look back and I'm like, oh, shoot, I should have said that. That's why I also love telling people when I see them and I'm like, oh, wow, I think you're very beautiful. Or like, I love your bag. You know, like I don't have a filter for the unsaid anymore unless it's like super rude. You know, like I have a balance here. I'm not like, bleh. but but unless they ask for it.
You asked for it, okay? I had that experience just shortly now, that where someone just looked at me, she's like, "Oh my God, you look terrible," and I was like, "What?"
Thanks.
I was like, "What? Huh?" Like, what do you want to tell me?
Wow.
It's so a woman. Well, it can
Wow.
happen, but it's also something where like, girl, you should think about how you talk to people, particularly to other women. Like,
Mhm.
so
Oh yeah.
But I do that too. And I love doing it because I think not enough people do that we just compliment each other because it's true. Like you have a gorgeous human being in front of you. And I'm sure that human being hasn't heard it. Like, you know what I mean? We don't even, and when I'm talking about gorgeous, I feel human beings are gorgeous. I'm not talking
Yeah,
about a supermodel. I'm not talking about someone that's like some, it's just they radiate from the inside out.
exactly.
Gorgeous. And so many times, I don't know, we're all so stuck in our own lives, we're busy, that we don't think of like how much you're giving. If you just say, as you said, that one thing like, hey, oh my God, you look amazing. Or your back, like, I love it. Whatever, you feel you want to say. I love that.
Yeah, it's so easy to make people happy or to brighten up their day a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think we are in a time where we all really need a lot more of that.
Yes.
A lot of brighten up.
Yeah.
Brightening up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
That's true. But talking about pregnancy when you're saying or giving birth and that you're like, I'm not shy anymore. I remember the situation of me being pregnant, feeling not sexy or anything at all. And I was so tired and I felt horrendous. And in comes the doctor, this gorgeous, sexy God. And I was like, can you please go? I was just like, no. Like, of all the human beings in this goddamn hospital, why? Like, no, I don't want you to examine me. I don't want you to see me. Like,
so funny that you say that because I remember I remember when I felt the contractions finally coming. Because I had one of the rare cases where your water breaks first and then you have the contractions, not the other way around. And at some point I was like, I'm bored. I don't have any makeup on. Look good. While I'm giving birth, I could look good. Yeah, sure. Delusional, whatever. I'm like, oh, you were so cute, so naive, but okay. Anyhow, and I started putting on makeup, and then I was done. I was ready, and the nurse, the midwife, the head of the midwives came, and she was like, "Ah, you look cute. You look very cute. I really don't often see that." And I'm like, "Thank you, thank you."
I prepared.
And then, fast
like
forward.
a soap opera, sorry.
Yeah, and then fast forward 12 hours later, and she saw me and she was like, didn't hold much. And I'm like, no, it's everywhere. It's everywhere now. I'm a panda.
Oh God.
I tried, okay? I tried.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did my best.
That's so funny.
Yeah. It's cute. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. I think we could talk to you forever.
My cheeks hurt.
Where is it best? Because to reach out to you, like, as there's so many hats you're wearing, there's so much like just working with you is awesome and fun. We would like to have it in the show notes, obviously. So, yeah.
So honestly, reaching out to me, which is so surprising that I'm gonna say that now. Instagram is the place to be for me. And also my website, which is not up to date, guys. But there are definitely contacts there. And you can reach out through that contact form to me or LinkedIn. I just joined LinkedIn.
Wow.
Because of that entrepreneurship leadership program. Yeah. So those are the three places. I will gladly send you a mail with the links.
Thank you. And I will put it in the show notes so that we have that. And the last thing would be, what are you guys or you working on now?
Oh yeah. So yeah, post-production on our little short that we were lucky to get funded. Then I am helping to prepare for a shoot for Vivian Bausch, in the position of the AD, but just in pre-production, because I'm shooting with the wonderful and beautiful, oh my God, Simonida Selimovic. I'm working with her on her project. Such a gorgeous woman inside and out. Sorry, girl crush. Yeah,
Yes, gorgeous.
yeah, she really is. And I just figured out she, like, when she was a teen, she was dating my cousin. I'm like, oh, damn it, she could have been my cool aunt, kind of, like in the sense, what do you call the wife or husband of, anyhow, you know what I mean.
Could have been family.
Yeah, she could have been family, exactly. Yeah.
No.
Anyhow, I was like, God damn it. So close. Anyhow. Yeah, so I'm the AD on her project, and I'm very looking forward to it because it's about a very important topic, also a diversity thing, and yeah, this is the next months basically what is waiting for me, and I forgot another project, but mom brain. Yeah. It's my baby. No. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, and I'm also working on my own project, which is about 4, 5. We'll see. I'm in the development process of writing a treatment, to be able to possibly get a funding for writing the script. But we'll see either way. If it doesn't get funded, I will definitely still go down that road of writing that story, because it's a super diverse cast that I have in mind. It's super political and very important nowadays, especially nowadays. Yeah, those are my projects.
Wow. I think we will have to get you back on this podcast.
Yes.
I loved it. It's so easy to talk with you guys. So it's not only on your side. I could talk to you like forever.
This was not a first thing, and this is we're gonna repeat this one.
Yeah, I had so much fun with you guys. And thank you for making it so easy to be so honest, It's not the given.
Thank you for being honest.
Yeah, thank you. And to our beautiful listeners, if you're still with us, we love you. Thank you.